being out here every day, you know, you start to get a little bit numb to it. But then when you sit here and really recount what it has been like the past couple weeks, it gets emotional.
I left my house at like 6:30 in the morning and just drove to my shop to make sure that the office was like okay. You know, there was dumpsters in the street and the water had gone over US 41 and Island Park, and the harbor just flooded all the way to 41. I've been here my whole life, so being from here, I went to middle school here and high school here. I know a lot of the firefighters, I know a lot of the people in the community, and it was pretty amazing to see everyone come together as fast as they did.
I live locally. I live in North Fort Myers. So, during the storm, we were actually in the eye wall for about 7 hours. Watched my shed get ripped out of the ground, rip out my well equipment with it, and then got the generator powered up the next day and saw video drone footage of the beach out here, and went from feeling really unlucky about my own property to feeling hugely lucky that my house in general was even intact. The ticker at the bottom of the news, they had a statement down there that Times Square on Fort Myers Beach was destroyed, but that didn't even do it justice. The ticker should have just gone. I mean, it literally isn't there.
It was really sad, and you're looking at some of the places that you used to go to with your kids and your family, and some places for fun, and they're just not there anymore. Or even Sanibel, I can't even recognize the landscape of it. It's, I drive past buildings I've been through 3 or 4 or 5 times my whole life and just drove right by them because the trees aren't there, or that one thing that you remember, the color of the roof, it's not there.
You're like, wow, that was a really nice boat, and then you start thinking how powerful this storm was and how it can just take, connexes and pick them up and lay them on 5 cars, or take a 50-foot boat and just turn it upside down.
I think it was beyond all of our bandwidth, to do it by ourselves, but I think uniting and coming together and working together, everybody was able to achieve some pretty monumental things in a very short period of time. So I'm personally, that's what I was worried about. I'm personally super proud of our community as a whole, and of my friends and people that stepped up and did what we did, as a group and as a team. So I couldn't have asked people to dig deeper than they did, and they all did it with straight from their heart. Sorry, I was worried about that.
No, you're good, man.
I thought I might choke up.
Nothing wrong with that.
Sources that we had, people that we had relationships with, people that we had partnerships before, people that had other things that we didn't have or normally wouldn't use, and they jumped in and helped us out. So kind of people that Brian and I had relationships with in the past. So that's a big help, because then we could just take care of it. Well, we don't have that, but we know the guy who has it, and he's glad to come help it.
It is personal to me. I've known a lot of these people in the condominiums, board presidents and board members, and just residents in general for, better part of 10 years, 15 years. And they know us and they know our capabilities, and, for them to trust us in this situation, I think really says a lot for what Florida Structural Group's all about. And I'm very proud of my guys for delivering, when they needed us. We delivered when they needed us most. I think that I'm proud of that.
Seeing the devastation on Fort Myers Beach, on Sanibel, was humbling, to say the least. So it's emotional thinking back on it. It's emotional thinking about what you did see. myself and another guy from our company, we walked all of East Gulf Drive one day, and then all of West Gulf Drive the next day, just going property to property, assessing the different properties for one of the big management companies out there so that they could relay to their boards the condition of the properties. Some of the properties were so damaged and the adjacent properties were so damaged that we couldn't identify which properties were which. The clients that we had long-standing relationships with or that we had previous projects with went and checked their buildings first and reached out to them to see, you know, first off, how could we help them? Second off, how could we start to implement the cleanup process and the mitigation process and get that rolling?
We got here Sunday after the storm, a group of 3 of us, Timmy, Greg, and I, and we came out with a bunch of supplies and started tarping things and sealing in windows and just started to do what we could do to mitigate the damage. It was shocking. I mean, it's like I tell people, it's a war zone, but nobody's shooting at you. But you know, so I don't want to make light of a war zone, but the amount of destruction is really, you know, it's immense. And even as they continue to clean things off and push it to the street and debris leaves, there's more right behind it. And pictures don't do it justice. It's like taking a picture of the Grand Canyon and looking at it in person, 2 different worlds. So we put together a plan very quickly and executed that plan. You know, we quickly started meeting with some contractors and selected Florida Structural Group to be our general contractor, and things really moved forward pretty good in an organized fashion. There's a lot to do. It is overwhelming, but I think we got the right teams doing things, and we're definitely making progress.
Step 1 was to assess the buildings, make sure that they were safe, work with the engineers to take the steps necessary to get the buildings safe. Then we did some documentation of the properties. After that, our crews, FSG, would come in, clear out all the debris for safe passage of the mitigation crews. We've been working hand in hand with both ServPro and Cotton for the mitigation inside the buildings themselves. So they'll go in, do the moisture mapping for the units, see which units were the most heavily affected. Crowther Roofing will come in, dry in the roofs of the units to stop any future moisture intrusion, or any further moisture intrusion, I should say. And then we've been working really close with Bidding Electric to get generator power, temporary power implemented. Soon, hopefully, LCEC and FPL will have temporary power available to hook up to the electric distribution systems.
That's where we're at now. You know, we're finishing up most of our buildings because we got here the day after the storm. We're finishing our phase 1 work on 23 projects where we've already put the roofs on, temped them in, got them generator power, and we're moving into phase 2, which is trying to get off the temporary power and onto permanent power. Yeah, I've really seen people step up beyond what I thought might be their full potential. They worked 7 days a week, 12 plus hours a day, without complaining, without asking why, you know, canceled their vacations. Like, just, I can't ask for more, you know? And I think there's a lot of personal satisfaction and genuine humanity involved in it as well. You know, it's probably the thing that we don't see, you know, enough of. We don't see real humanity. You know, Ryan Kane touched on it in his interview, and I'll say that it hit home with me. But it is because these guys are good people. You know, they're good family people, they're good community people. Crowther Roofing is probably the best teammate that you could have in this, because they have the horsepower, they're knowledgeable, they're responsive, and they're capable, and they care. They're community driven as well. And working with them, I mean, Ross and Leo and these guys, Kevin, the guys they have out in the field, Sean, you know, Lee put together his team, and Chris Crowther's on the AC side. You know, they put together a team, and I mean, I never had to look to my right or my left. They were right next to us every step of the way.
It's going to be a long process. It's hard to convey that to people who aren't here. There's houses and businesses and things like that that, you know, you grow up going to, and they're just not there.
I think a lot's going to depend on power, you know, which is a very big unknown because materials. Everybody's going to be looking for the same meter box. Everybody's going to be looking for the same sub panel. I think that's the biggest unknown, is the material backlog.
The problem is that the way the buildings were built, we really can't change them. So what we can do is raise up air conditioners, move electrical, you know, panel and switch gear off the bottom floor, get it onto higher elevation. Maybe look at installing backup generators on a roof, you know, on AC stands, similar to what we do with the air conditioners and things like that. I don't think that those things were anticipated as much prior to this storm surge than they will be now. In essence, what's really driving the build back on Sanibel Island or Fort Myers Beach is the blue collar workers. It is your Andrews Site Works, your Crowther Roofings, you know, Britain Electric. You know, these guys, they're working their ass off, you know, they really are. And I mean, you can't take that away from anyone.
You have to take everything with a grain of salt. It can be repaired. It can be repaired and it can be rebuilt. And I think that that's the most important message for everybody on the beach, you know, beach-wide. I guess I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who we're working with, but beyond that, thank you to everyone who's doing their part to rebuild the community. It was not a pretty sight, and still not the prettiest sight, but all the volunteers out there, the Red Crosses, the food banks, everybody, the different sheriffs that have come in, they've all been doing their part. It's terrible to see the effects of the storm, but it's really positive to see how it brought everybody together to help. So I've only ever seen it on TV before, and never thought it'd be in our backyard, but it is, and all we can do is make the best of it.
Me, I'm staying here. I'm born and raised, I'm purebred, so I gotta stay. I have to see the outcome. That's my thing. As I started something, I want to see the finish.
I'm really not tired for some reason. I got up and rode my bike the other morning, and I haven't been fatigued. Maybe one day I was, but I really haven't been tired. I've been sort of just motivated. I want to get out of bed in the morning. I want to go make a difference, you know. And I want to be there with my team, you know, so that if they are tired, they know I'm right next to them. It's really in my heart. I'm very driven to see this through. You know, it's sad, painful. I don't like seeing my community like this, but we're gonna get through it. And there's no doubt that we're gonna get through it. And there's no doubt that everybody's gonna continue to work to get through it and put it back the way it was or better. And I don't have any doubt in my mind that's gonna happen. So every day I come, I'm just motivated more, you know, because I can see us making progress. And I know we're gonna get where we need to be.